Hello, hello! Today I will be reviewing an upcoming French battleship. The first French battleship in the game, the T6 premium battleship Dunkerque. Now, the very first thing you might notice is that this is a long and a big ship. It sails fairly high in the water, there's a lot of superstructure, and it's very, very long for a T6. Now these are obviously all negative aspects of the ship. This much superstructure, this much space to shoot at, obviously all of this combined means that you got a very visible, very easy to hit ship. Now I chose this commentary because pretty much every single ship in this game are T6, so this is about as accurate of a comparison you can get to the same tier. If you want to see some T8 games, I got a couple of those recorded as well. And here you can see the detectability, 16.4 with the camo on. 16.4 in T6 is huge. You can see by the transparent edge, I'm already spotted way past the capture points, far away into the enemy base. Another thing, of course, that is special on this ship is the front to turret placement. Now, of course, turret placement like this is quite good, since it allows you to angle very well, and that's definitively a positive side. But that's kind of where it ends. And of course, I have to mention another good thing about the turrets is that they have very fast turret traverse at what I think 31.6 second, 180 degrees, which I think is the fastest out of all the battleships in T6. So turret traverse is good, placement is good, but that kind of where it ends. These guns are 330mm guns, which mean that they are the smallest guns at T6. Pretty much everyone else has 356mm or bigger, like the Warspite and the upcoming Bayern or Bayern. They are all bigger guns than this guy has. So he's got the smallest guns, and that of course means that citadel damage is also reduced, as is the HE damage, but the citadel damage is only 9.7k instead of the usual 10 point something you might get on higher tiers. So that's obviously an issue. Range is 18.2 kilometers, which is quite fine. You'll do just fine at T6. You don't need more range than that. There's a good start though. A huge chunk of damage on the Cleveland gave me broadside. But whenever I do that in the ship, I can't help but wonder if I was sailing another battleship, couldn't I have simply have just killed him? The dispersion, once again, it's pretty mediocre. Considering this got these small guns, you would be hoping for maybe they would be more accurate, but they're actually worse accuracy than the Fuso. They're pretty average, like nothing special, no real saving grace. And penetration of course suffers because of this. I have to dodge these Warspite shells. I'm actually going to ground just to dodge these Warspite shells. Now you might think this is silly, wow, that this guy just ground to dodge Warspite shells, but if I get into a fight with him later, you will see why you really have to dodge these shells, because this ship, even when angled, can't really deal with higher caliber guns at all. And another thing, of course, with 330mm guns, you would be hoping for some sort of great reload. Nope, only 28-second reload. So the Fuso that has bigger guns, more guns, I think better accuracy, also has a 2-second faster reload at 26 seconds. So at 28, there really aren't many good things about these guns. And like that's really all there is to say about the guns. It's just weak. They are weak guns. There's so much competition, so much great competition at the T6 battleship level with the Warspites and the Arizonas and of course non-premium ships as well. So it all adds up. That was a pretty good volley on that Arizona. A nice 10k chunk, but now I have to bail. Because another point of this ship is the armor is very, very weak. If you fight someone, you pretty much have to be absolutely angled. Any sort of broadside gets punished. Even cruisers just melt through your armor if they get broadsides at you. And God forbid if someone understands to switch to HE against this ship, it takes huge HE damage, absolutely huge. Like, I literally went Superintendent on this thing simply so I'd have more repairs because of all the fires and all the HE damage I would eat. It was straight up ridiculous. Oh, there's the Warspite. You see how angled I am? Oh, he's aiming at me. You see how angled I am? I got 49k HP right now. I'm angled perfectly against the Warspite. Absolutely perfect. Straight up pointed at him. the best possible battleship angling you can get on this ship, and I have 49.3k HP. And here comes the Warspite salvo. Bam. 13k straight in the front. And that's just the way it goes. Any sort of larger caliber guns punch straight through you. You don't have the armor to tank them. And even worse is that because of this turret setup, I mean, it's great that you have all the turrets in the front, but the issue with this turret setup is that you actually end up losing these guns. I have lost these guns. You lose one gun, you lose 50% of your damage, and it's very frustrating. And while the turret frontal armor is quite good, if you're actually aiming like left and right while angling against someone, you have a huge risk of losing your guns because the turret armor is very weak on the sides and on the back of the turrets. So you have to take. So the Warspite is someone you simply just don't want to fight. His guns just they're already strong against other T6s, but against your pitiful armor and huge size, Warspite just chews you up. And this is something you need to take into account because the upcoming German T6 battleship, the Bayern, it's also going to have 380mm guns. So that's two T6 battleships, same tier battleships that will straight up just shit on you if they have any idea what they're doing. So not very good, is it? And of course, you understand that if a T6 battleship can do this to you, it kind of becomes obvious that when you get upmatched, which can happen quite often on T6, I'm sure plenty of T6 players are used to being matched up against T8. If that happens, well, then you're not going to have a very fun time. And of course, because of these armor issues and in general this huge size and these weaknesses, you can't play. At the beginning I tried to play it like a Yamato, basically sitting still, pointing my guns right at them, and pointing my guns at them and like trying to reverse and angle myself constantly and hoping this would be enough. It just doesn't work. You don't have the armor to do it. You kind of have to make use of its strengths, which is the speed. It does 29.5 knots and it accelerates fairly quickly. So you have to make use of this and basically constantly keep moving, constantly keep angled. As soon as you stop and try to do the hold angle thing, you tend to get really punished really hard by people who understand what they're doing. The worst thing was when I tried to fight the Fuso on another map and I just angled straight at him and he switched to HE and he absolutely melted me. Like, it was pretty hilarious how completely he melted me. He just shot HE at me at my angled ship and he did more damage to me than I did with AP against his broadsiding ship from range. So definitively an issue. Definitely an issue. Of course, need to mention the repair as well, considering when people understand how much HE damage you get, you're gonna get spammed by HE a lot. And here comes another weakness of the French premium repair. It's 80-second cooldown, just like the American one, but it only lasts 15 seconds, whereas the American one lasts 20 seconds. So objectively, it's simply worse than the American repair. There's not much else to it. It's simply worse. So I'm really having a hard time trying to recommend this to anyone. I mean, the rudder shift is average. The speed is good. That's like, it's the fastest, I think, 2.6 battleship. So the speed is definitively good. But turning circle 730 meters, it doesn't sound like too much, but once again, because this is such a long ship, that becomes very awkward. Another thing is, of course, the torpedo belt on this thing. It reduces torpedo damage by 27%, and 27% is not very high. I think it's only higher than the Warspite that has 24%. Everyone else has a better torpedo belt than you. Like the Arizona has a 39% torpedo belt. Not to mention, when you got the ship this size, you're gonna eat a lot of torpedoes. And the AA is another thing I will get into. I actually have a test I'm going to be doing. I might as well do it in this commentary. But the AA so far has been absolutely pitiful. I'll actually put an AA test into this commentary as well, so you can see for yourself just how pitiful the AA is. When I say the AA is bad, I'm talking like literally worse than pretty much everything. The AA is just very bad as well. So what are the good parts? Well, it's really fun if you get to YOLO into people. That's fun. I mean, being able to bring all 8 guns in the front when you YOLO charge into people, that's a lot of fun. But this is kind of one of those kind of ships that I would say are kind of like the Atlanta, that from a competitive point of view, they really aren't that good. But at least the Atlanta has its niche, like the kind of thing that it's really, really good at, which is kind of shooting down airplanes and just spamming HE and, well, a lot of close-range DPS. This one, I guess it's really good at charging straight in, going YOLO, and that's kind of what I've been doing. Trying to some sort of, like, shoot from range and such. Because of the dispersion, the weak penetration, and all of these issues, trying to snipe from range really doesn't work that well in this ship. And if you really want to snipe, why not just play a Fuso? It's going to be so much better at it. Faster reload, bigger guns, more damage, more accurate, like everything better at sniping. So what it's good at and what I've been doing with it is just going ham. Like in this case, we have this Budioni who's challenging me. I'm saving my guns until I'm pretty much point blank. He's not used to this fast kind of... He's not used to Battleship being as fast as I am. I accelerate quickly, I close the distance quickly. Bam, he thinks he can torp me. But I go... Basically, I smack him down with a nice little ram into the middle of his ship. Get fucked. Excuse my language. But yeah, I run him over and I just continue pushing. And I've actually rammed quite a few lower tier ships in this thing, because people aren't expecting the speed. So I mean, kind of like the Atlanta, I can say that this ship can be fun, but it's not a ship I would recommend as a competitive ship, because pretty much any other battleship who knows what it's doing is gonna probably destroy it quite hard. And maybe only like in a 1v1 situation where you get the jump on him, that's where you might have the advantage. But how often do you get into a 1v1 with no other ships interfering or distracting you and something? And giving broadside is so much worse in this ship than in any other, because of the very thin armor and because of the huge citadel and huge size of the ship. So not a very good ship, honestly. The Dunkerque has been a bit of a disappointment. Now, this was a pretty good game, ended up top scoring with it, with a ram kill as well, which I thought was funny enough that against other T6s that I would feature it in this commentary. But I got a couple other things that I want to show you, namely the AA, which I haven't talked about here. But let me show you just how disappointing the AA on this ship is as well. I think I got that one coming up right now. Alright, here we go. I put myself into a training room. I put myself against 3 Ruyos. Now, usually, of course, you can only face 2 in reality, but I put in a 3rd because computers or the bots tend to space out their planes a lot more, whereas players understand to pack their planes together, so basically you don't have as much time to shoot at each individual squad. Like you focus one squad and the other 2 squads get to top bomb you without being affected. So that's why I added an additional one, just to give you a feel of like what it is like. So this is T6 bot players. Now, as far as I understand, bot players also don't really upgrade their planes necessarily, so you might even have like stock planes against you. And this is how bad the anti-air on the Dunkerque is. This is just the default anti-air on the ship. And I'm very surprised I shot down that one plane, that one early. I think it was actually my fighter plane that shot him down, but the fighter plane got killed soon after. Hey, I shot down a 2nd plane. You can see I'm focus firing these squads and trying to do my best here to like focus fire each approaching squad. I focus fire the torpedo bombers once again on my right. Try to turn right, but this is a long ship. Maybe rudder shift might have saved me here, I don't know. It's still gonna be a 730 meter turning circle and a long ship we're talking about. Still only at 2 planes, I haven't shot down a plane in a while, even though my anti-air is constant. Oh hey, 3rd plane shot down. But out of all those planes I shot down 3, and I think one of them was by my plane. So that kind of gives you an idea of how pitiful the stock anti-air is. Right, as you can see, I've leveled my captain enough that I can get manual fire control. And the reason why I take manual fire control on the Dunkerque is because pretty much all its anti-air is on those big 130mm guns. On the 37mm guns he's got 12 DPS, and on the other ones are like 1.2 kilometer range or something. What was the range? It was 1.2 kilometers. So you basically have to get manual AA on this thing to get any sort of AA. So when we have manual AA on this now, let's try again. Now we have basically, considering you only have 12 DPS on the 37mm and the other one was 1.2 kilometers, they basically don't really impact your AA at all. So with manual AA, we have essentially doubled our AA. So let's see if this can actually save the Dunkerque's AA, because I am very close to giving just an abysmal rating to the Dunkerque's AA. Okay, 1-0. Shot down 3, and this time it wasn't my fighter plane doing it. That's a good start. Okay, I've focused this other squad for a while now. Focus the torpedo bombers. Come on, Antir. Torpedo bombers are focused. Shot down one plane after it dropped. Focusing the second squad. Not shooting down a single plane, and it's dropping. Wow, this anti-air is pitiful, and this is with manual AA. This is with manual AA. I'm not shooting down any planes, and these are T6, most likely stock planes. Imagine if you end up against a T7 or T8 carrier. He's gonna laugh at you while he just absolutely destroys you. Combine this with one of the weakest torpedo belts at T6 and having a very large and long ship, and you can imagine just how much of a carrier bait the Dunkerque is going to be. Like, carriers are going to love seeing Dunkerques in their games, and at T6 you see a ton of carriers. Like, pretty much every game you're going to have carriers in there, so this is something you really have to take into account. Combined with the very, very long repair times and the pretty bad repair in general. 6 planes I shot down. Yep, the ship gets an F in AA. Alright, anyway, moving on to Consumables. Premium repair, get it, highly recommend. I'm using the flag that reduces the cooldown on the repair by 5%, because honestly I really felt I needed it on this thing. The default cooldown is 120 seconds, the premium one is 80 seconds. Get the premium repair, you'll need it on the ship, trust me on that. And of course, premium repair party as well. You can try to get away with it, not using it, but I prefer using it. A catapult fighter, you can use the free one. I just use it because I have plenty of credit to spare. Upgrade wise, main armaments, because you want to bump up your main guns. Especially you want the HP bonus, because you'll end up losing them. And AA guns and secondary are useless, as I said, so just going for main gun upgrade as usual. Damage control, you're gonna get HE spammed, get used to it. Damage control system too. Once again, you guys, you can see the turning circle is okayish. It's not that good. So I mean, I guess you could go rudder shift, but honestly, I found HE to be a much bigger issue than I found torpedoes to be. Even though torpedoes are also going to be an issue for the ship. Like, let's see if I can give you a visual of just how big the ship is compared to the others. Like, look at the ship from the side. You can see how much this is fully zoomed out. You see how much of my screen it takes up. Now let's click to Arizona. Did you see the size comparison? It's literally like someone clipped off a third of the ship, and that's the Arizona in size comparison, like in length. This is a long ship. Plenty of surface area, plenty of torpedo area. Just when people realize how much HE spam you can do on this thing, it's not going to be fun times for Dunkerque captains, I can tell you that. Anyway, moving on to captain perks. Once again, basic survivability. Fires, yes, you want to reduce them. Turret traverse, because nothing else is really good. Honestly, if fire prevention actually worked the way you would wish it would work, I would take it on this ship, but sadly it's garbage, so no point. Here I take Superintendent, but that's not to say Vigilance wouldn't be an option as well, especially if you find yourself struggling with torpedoes. And it's both of these I think are very viable, Vigilance or Superintendent. Take them depending on what you feel. I took Superintendent because I really wanted that additional heal. I found myself using heals pretty much on cooldown when I was in battle on this thing. And but Vigilance can certainly be worth it. You can see my torpedo protection on the ship is 27% on the Dunkerque. Now, that's bad. I mean, let's look at the Arizona. 39% torpedo protection. If we look at the tech tree, I think the New Mexico, I think it had 60%. I'm almost certain the New Mexico had 60%. Let's get, yeah, with the Sea Hull, I mean 40%, not 60, Jesus. 40% reduction. So we're talking about a very weak torpedo belt as well. Finally, you saw I took manual AA, but it seems like you need to get advanced firing training as well before the AA can maybe be decent. I doubt it. I don't think advanced firing training will save this AA either. If manual AA had such a small impact on it, then I just don't see it saving it. And buffing the secondaries are nice, but secondaries have a default range of 5.2, 5.3, so... Anyway, this was my Dunkerque commentary. I hope you guys enjoyed it.